I think you have to ask the question, why? Why are we getting married? I've had to watch like video of someone abusing their spouse or abusing a child or abusing a pet. I remember having to watch like a Ring video of someone kicking the family dog. I think everybody like, you know, if they could control their desires, it would be great, but you can't. You know, your desire is your desire. I don't think marriage and love have very much to do with each other.
What is marriage to you? Like what?
To me, marriage is a legal step.
Does this job ever wear on you emotionally?
You do anything at an intense level, you'll get tired. Like I remember saying to my son, I was complaining to him that I was like, yeah, I'm really tired right now. And he's like, but you love your job. And I was like, son, I love sex too, but if I did it 14 hours a day for 20 days in a row, I'd want a break.
Let's flat out. Big teams, big boys, alright? My highs and lows inherit growth, Mr. Deeds. Went from juggling 3 jobs to CEO like I'm Steve. Never been a rotten apple, call me John Appleseed. That's how I bleed. God can see no other man can judge me. Call him Mike, Mr. International, getting cream. Single mother told me worth, and now I'm worth everything. Went from Wall Street to Abu Dhabi, straight rolling in a Maserati with women that feel exotic. My life too pristine.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement. Last
What's
flight
going
out,
on, man?
Flat out.
Welcome back to the Last Flight Out podcast. I'm your host, Jay. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and give us a follow across all of our social media channels where we can be found at Last Flight Out Podcast. You can find me across all of my socials at JLubrio26, and you can follow Mike, who's here in spirit, at If Mike Was Here. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's jump into today's conversation. Some people talk about relationships from theory, but our guest today understands them from the battlefield, real people, real consequences, real human emotion. He spent years in courtrooms inside people's most vulnerable moments, seeing what love looks like when the fairy tale fails and the reality shows up. Out of that, he's built a respected legal career, a powerful media voice, and a perspective on love, marriage, and human behavior that only comes from standing right in the middle of it. But today isn't about advice or opinions. Today is about the journey, the road that led him here, the risks that he took, the evolution of his perspective, and the moments that shaped the man behind the microphone and the courtroom presence that the world has come to know. Welcome to the Last File Podcast, James Sexton.
Thanks, Jay. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much.
It's always good whenever I get to chat with anybody who's had the legal training.
Oh, yeah.
It's always like a different conversation. We just think different.
Yeah.
Law school like either breaks or fixes your brain. I don't know which. And it like changes the vocabulary with which you analyze anything.
Exactly. Words matter. I've learned that words matter even in my own relationships with people. The things that they say, like, that's not what I meant, but like that's what you heard. That's what I heard. So what did you really mean?
I think you approach all of the other interviews I've heard you do. Like it's so clear to me that you approach things with that lawyer's mind, the issue spotting. Like I'm watching your brain go and I'm like, oh, Jay's going in issue spotting right now. So it's good. We also have the same pathology now. You know?
Yeah, people understand this. But look, when you hear that introduction, what's the first moment in your life that your mind goes to?
Gosh, I mean, it's so funny because I've always said the only life path is the one behind you, like I really, the older I get, the more I realize like how many of the near misses,
right?
Things that made no sense when they were happening, things that seemed tragic or a misstep when they were happening turned out to just be like the move, the thing that really got me where I wanted to be. So, it starts, I mean, for me, you and I've talked about our paths as lawyers and, we took very different ones, right. I did not take law school seriously as anything other than this is where I need to go to get a piece of paper so I can go do the job.
Right.
Because I understood, as I think most people do by the third year of law school, I knew it before that like law school doesn't really teach you anything other than how to think like a lawyer,
right.
How to look things up.
Yep.
How to analyze, complex issues, how to triage. I think the reason they inundate you with work that first year is to show you like you couldn't possibly do all this work. So how will you triage it? Which is actually really good practice for being a lawyer because I can't remember the last time I left my office and everything was done. It was probably like Bill Clinton was in office. But like at the time, like it really is just the feeling of like, all right, I just got to go home. I got to go home. It'll still be here tomorrow.
That's why the billable hour is a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Yeah. And what I'll say is, so the thing that first jumps into my mind is, I opened my practice 6 months out of law school.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were like, put the shingles up.
Oh yeah. No, not even like, I mean, I was working for a firm that I'd interned for all 3 years of law school. And I realized, I'll tell you a funny story. It was sort of a moment, you know, and it was a sad moment at the time. But I'd worked for this firm for about 3 years. I worked in their matrimonial and family law division. I worked with an attorney named Bill Frank. He's retired for many years now, but he really was my mentor. And I learned so much from the guy. And he was one of like 12 partners, you know, so it wasn't a big firm, but it wasn't a small firm. And then there was probably like 30 associates and a huge support staff. And I was, you know, doing a good job for them. It was the, you know, early 2000s, late 90s. Yeah, late 90s. And they used to call me the Derek Jeter of the firm. And in the late 90s, to be called in New York the Derek Jeter of the firm, that's the highest praise you could have.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was the guy who like just the young guy who was just impressing everybody. But there was this one partner who I'll leave nameless. And he was just a cantankerous, angry man. And for whatever reason, he didn't like anyone, but I was part of that. And I remember I used to go in every weekend and do work. And I really was like first one in, last one out, and would always go in on the weekend and work on things. And I was getting paid nothing as an intern. And they were billing me out. They were billing my work out. And I didn't mind because I know that's how the system works. And I remember I was working for this guy. And they had an office in the city, and then they had an office in Westchester. And I was at the Westchester office, and it was snowing.
Okay.
And I had driven. And the way that the office worked is it was a building on stilts. And so you could park under the stilts, and then your car wouldn't get rained on or snowed on. Or you could park in the normal parking, and then you'd get rained on or snowed on. Well, it was a Sunday, so nobody was there.
Yeah, right.
I always knew like which partners were there. And there was like 2 partners that would ever be there. One of them was there because he was doing work, and he did every Saturday and Sunday. The other was there because he was sleeping with his secretary, and they would meet there and be behind a closed door. I knew not to bother them. And nobody else was there. It was just me, you know, billing hours. And one day, this cantankerous lawyer was in there. And he was sort of stomping up and down the halls, and he sees me, and then he kind of like grunts and walks past. And the next day, Monday, I go in, and the partner, Bill, who I work for, pulls me in and he says, "Look, I have to tell you something, and I feel embarrassed to say this to you." And I said, "Okay, what's the matter?" Like I thought maybe I screwed something up. And he said, "Mr. Smith was here over the weekend." I said, "Oh yeah, I saw him. I was working on the blah, blah, blah deposition transcript." And he goes, "Yeah, he was upset because you parked in one of the partners' parking spaces."
Ooh.
And I said, "Well, I parked in Mr. Sirajan's space, and he's never here on the weekends. So I deliberately, but it was snowing, and I didn't want my car to get, and there were like 15 spaces of partners, and I parked in the one that I knew would not be here just so my car wouldn't get snowed on." And he was like, I understand. I have no issue with it. He felt it was disrespectful." And I said, he understands, like I was here billing hours for him, right? And he's like, he probably does somewhere in there, but and I remember I walked out, and I said, "Of course, no problem." And I walked out, and I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to leave. Like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to just go out on my own. And I'm going to go out on my own before I get used to working someplace. Because I had so many friends that took the path you did. They achieved very high in law school. They did really well. They got these ultra difficult to get positions at these great firms. And I remember one of them calling me, and he said to me, "Oh my God, this is the greatest." He's like, "They bring menus around, and we can order any dinner we want at a certain hour. And if you need to bring your dry cleaning, they'll have it dry cleaned for you. We have a gym in the building."
It's built so that you never leave, James.
Well, that's what I said. I said, "Do you understand?" I said, "It sounds like they're creating conditions that you have no excuse to ever leave." And I remember thinking like, yeah, I don't want to get into that. Yeah. So for a couple of years, I had no clients. I mean, I took assigned counsel cases. It was $25 an hour back then for assigned counsel cases. Now it's $158. You could actually make a living.
Nice.
But back then it was $25. And I just was like, yeah, I'm going to try every case I can. I'm going to get as much experience as I can. I used to wander around the courthouse with a yellow pad, acting like I had something I had to do. And if I saw anybody trying to fill something out or struggling, I'd be like, "Oh, do you want some help? I'm here for another case, but I can help you." And I would just try to like generate business. And, you know, looking back, I realized that like only the hubris of being 29 or whatever I was, you know, would have the balls to do that. And people thought I was crazy. People who legitimately cared about me were like, "Are you serious? Like, do this for a couple of years. then go out on your own. And I was like, yeah, no, there's no good time to do something reckless.
Yeah. Assuming that you had the same personality today that you did back then, you were probably the outlier of the type of law student that was in law school at the
100%.
time, right? Because most law students, they're type A's, they're introverted.
Yeah.
I'm definitely introverted, so I'm not like the loudest personality unless I'm really comfortable with someone, then my personality shines. So I can imagine a lot of people just looking at you in high school like, who does this guy think he is, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, well, and I was also like, I had the arrogance, you know, getting older has definitely matured me. It's given me some patience. It's made me a little more humble. I look back at the 29, early 30s version of me. I was arrogant because I just knew I was good at this and I was going to be good at it. And I kind of thought the game was so silly of law school. Like, I remember, you know, everybody sort of being so into it. And I was like, you know, I don't actually want to be a good law student. Because I'm not going to be a good law student for long.
Right.
Like if your skill is you're good at law school, it's like why I went up the CrossFit games around. I'm like, I don't want to be the best at exercising.
Right.
Like that doesn't feel like a real competition.
Right.
Like, not that it isn't incredibly difficult, but it's just to me, that's not a thing to aspire to. So I had a certain arrogance about me, and I was, you know, like there's this, I hate to quote the clips, but you know, like there's a line where or it might be Jadakiss. He says, I'm not cocky, I'm confident. So when they tell me I'm the best, it's a compliment.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and I always felt like, I wasn't cocky, I was confident. Like I know what I'm good at. There's a lot of things I'm not good at. The list of things I'm not good at is much longer.
Right.
But the things I'm good at, I was very open to being like, I'm fucking good at this. If you're better at it than me, cool, let's go toe to toe and let's see. But
the one thing that like served me well in law school was I didn't go, you know, I grew up in New York City, public school kid. My parents couldn't send me to private school. You go to law school, now you're with the elite of the elite academically, right? So I felt a little imposter syndrome in there, but I was like, my dad said, the one thing you have in them that you can control is the amount that you work hard and the amount that you can grit it out. And you have to be able to believe that you can out-practice anybody else.
Well, and they hated me for that because I was the same thing. I came from...
I would read cases 3-4 times.
I came from poverty. There was nothing in my history that would indicate. And I remember I went to Ramapo College of New Jersey for my undergrad. And back then, all it took was like $1 and a dream. Like it was, you know, a bad school, a cheap school. That was why I went there. And I could continue to work full time. I was a waiter all the way through college. And I also wrote people's papers for $20 a page. And I was also I had every hustle you could have because I was broke. And I remember I got to law school and I was not self-conscious and I didn't doubt myself. I remember thinking, oh, they're letting the fox in the fucking hen house.
Right.
Like these people don't know. Like none of these people are going to out fucking work me. None of them are going to out hustle me, but I'm only going to fight the battles that matter.
Right.
Like I'm going to just go in and tear it up because these people, like I remember there was a mediation class and the final assignment was you had, like, we were preparing for this mock mediation and they gave you, like, if you were team A, you were going to go against team B. And team A's terms, they would give you at the end of the class, here's your term sheet. And it's everything you're willing to do and not willing to do and what your goals are and aren't. Right. And they were like, if you're team A, take your sheet here. If you're team B, take your sheet there. And I was like, got it. We walked down. I'm like, A and B, took them both, walked into the other room, read their term sheet, went in. I was like, all right, here's my strategy. And I remember thinking, like, nobody else here would think to cheat.
No.
Like all these, they're all like fucking choir boys. Like they were so, because they're not used to thinking that way. And I was like, I'm going to eat their lunch, you know? But I also remember being very like humorously arrogant about it. I remember I sat next to a guy at orientation, similar last name because it was alphabetical. And he said, oh, where did you go to school? And I said, oh, I went to Ramapo College. You probably never heard of it. Where'd you go? And he was like, oh, I went to Columbia. And I was like, oh. Nice. We just sat there and I went, and here we're in the same place.
We're in the same place, exactly.
Like my whole education cost what one semester of yours did. Like, and we're in the exact same place right now.
That's what I always say too. Like I went to school at night at Fordham, so I worked during the day.
Both went to Fordham.
Oh yeah, no, I went to school at night. I hustled during the day. I had like 3 different jobs. Go to school at night till like 11, study till 3, do it all over again for 4 years. And when I finally started practicing, I said, oh, you don't have to be the smartest here. No. You just got to be the most hardworking and be able to endure torture. And I was like, I've been enduring torture for a long period of time.
Right. And I was always I ran marathons competitively. I've trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai for many years. Like it was always about who can endure the most punishment. It really was. Like I was always like, okay, how do I create a situation where I I can take the punches.
Yeah.
Because if I can take the punches and endure, I think that's the number one thing that like is for me a marker of success, is the willingness to just absorb punishment and keep moving forward.
And then just so we can move this along. So at what point did you realize in law school or before law school, I want to be in the courtroom and I want to sort of like argue human stories, like marriage?
Yeah, that was way before law school. So I was in high school, I was on the debate team.
Okay.
And I went into the debate team because there was a girl on the debate team who I was super into. She was 2 years older than me. She was a junior. I was a freshman. She was super cute.
It's always a girl.
It was always a girl, but I owe this one a great debt of gratitude because I would have had no proclivity to going into debate whatsoever. But it was like, hey, if I join this, it's a small team and I'll end up hanging out next to her. The funny PS of that story is I lost my virginity to that girl. But I was her debate partner.
Good.
And yeah, it was great. And I just was like, I'm going to be amazing at debate so that she wants me as her partner. And that's exactly what happened. I just went in and I was like, whatever this is, I'm going to be good at it.
Okay.
And right away, I made the team right away. She wanted me as her partner. And then I was like, all right, I'm all in. I want to keep impressing her. I'm going to peacock for her. I'm going to just fucking win. And I took the team to a national championship. We had a great time doing it. And of course, I got to know her and I dated her for a couple of years. She's happily married and has some kids now. We're still occasionally in touch. But the truth is, like, for me, that planted the seed of, oh, you're good at this. Like, sometimes enjoyment follows competence.
Yes.
And so I realized, oh, I'm good at this. I'm good at extemporaneous speaking. I'm good at like full contact storytelling. I'm good at telling a story while someone's trying to dissect your story. And I'm good at thinking a few moves ahead. I'd always played chess and I always liked the idea of like thinking tactically and trying to go as many moves out in contingencies as possible in something where you couldn't possibly know every contingency. Yeah. And I just had a lot of fun with it. So I think that planted the seed for me of being a lawyer. My undergraduate degree was in psychology. My minor was a dual minor in substance abuse and East Asian studies.
Okay.
I wanted to be either a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I wanted to work with people.
Right.
And then I figured out very quickly that therapists are actually supposed to be better listeners than talkers.
Right.
And so
lawyers are the opposite.
Yeah.
Lawyers are the opposite.
This is something I have to find something that matches up with my proclivities. And I ended up, as a part-time job, I was teaching SAT prep classes for Kaplan.
Okay.
And they said to me, there's an opening to teach LSAT classes. You get $5 more an hour.
Nice.
But you have to take the LSAT and score in the 90th percentile or higher. So no one to outwork me. I took every LSAT that had ever been published over and over again under time conditions until I could get 100% of the questions correct.
Yep.
So when I went into the actual LSAT, it was just like the same kinds of questions. And I got in the 99th percentile. I ended up going to Fordham Law School for free. And I went there with the idea of, okay, I want to be a courtroom lawyer and I want to really deal with clients and people. And I really want to try cases. So that meant I could be a personal injury lawyer, a criminal lawyer, or a family law attorney.
Yeah.
Criminal lawyer, the people who commit interesting crimes, usually don't have money. And the people who commit interesting crimes and have money usually don't do it more than once. So unless you can get connected with like a mob family or a drug cartel or something like that, which has its own risks, I was like, that's not for me. Personal injury, I was like, you know what? I am risk adverse. I don't want to stake my own money against this because the firm that I had worked for that period of time, they had a personal injury arm.
Right.
And I remember one night before the holiday party, they'd gotten a defense verdict. And it was like mom had been slapped at the kitchen table. Everyone was just sad eating, at the holiday party.
Right.
Because they had put hundreds of thousands of dollars of time and expert fees into this thing and they got a defense verdict. So I remember thinking, I'm not going to do that. And I started working before I was, right when I started law school, I started working part-time for a family law firm. And I just immediately was like, oh yeah, this is it. Like, this is it. It checks all the boxes. Everything I've liked about everything I've done up until now, including being a waiter. Because like being a waiter, you have to sell. Right. You have to figure out what does this person need for me? Because every table needs something different. Like, do I want to be entertaining? Do they want me to fade into the background? Do they need me to be subservient or they want me to sort of take charge and make suggestions? How do I make, if the guy's on a date, how do I make him look good? whatever he chooses, like, oh, that's an excellent choice. That wine's perfect with that. Make him look good to his date. He's going to remember it. Table full of women. Do they want me to be a subservient man to them, or do they want me to come in and be like, ladies, this one's a troublemaker, I can see. And I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Like, as I have to figure out, from the cues, like I have to figure out, and I thought in a courtroom that's going to be really useful, and it turned out it was really useful.
And do you remember your first big case that you litigated to trial, and what were some of the learning lessons in that?
What's funny about that is
from a legal perspective or just an interpersonal relationship?
The first big case I had was at the time a really big case for me. And now it would be so small, I would never consider doing it. Okay. But back then, I remember this person gave me a $5,000 retainer.
Oh man, you must have felt like the man.
I just thought, this is all the money in the world.
Right.
Like, what will I ever do with this? My ex-wife, I remember saying to her when I was like a baby lawyer, I remember saying, if I could make $100,000 a year and get to do this job, I will be the happiest person in the world, And the truth is, I am. Like, I fucking love the work. I love the job. But the first case I had, I remember it very vividly. They gave me the first big case I had, they gave me a $5,000 retainer. It was a divorce involving, it was 2 W-2 wage earners. It was something that now, like, I wouldn't touch it. But it was then like a big deal, and it really was going to go to trial because there was an argument over a closely held business with a cash component, and this person was trying to pretend they didn't have certain earnings that we knew they had. And it was a really... it was a courtroom case. It was a direct confrontation, cross-examination. It was like I had to put pieces together. I had to kind of create the little trail of breadcrumbs and get him to take it and then snap his neck on cross. And I think I probably made, I don't know, 10 grand, 15 grand on the trial. Cause I think I was $150 an hour. I'm $1,000 an hour now. So like in retrospect now, and my retainers now are lowest would ever be 25,000, but usually they're in the range of 100,000. And I just looked, but I remember feeling the same thing I feel now, which is like, oh, this person's like handing me the biggest things in their life.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really the money as much as like, this person's trusting me to tell this story and to come up with a strategy and to like figure out how these pieces should be put on the board. And I remember it felt and continues still to feel like a massive responsibility, but in like a humbling and inspiring way.
Right.
And so that case, like every case thereafter, just felt like, like, wow, like this person believes in me. I don't think I'll ever not feel nervous. Like the night before every trial, I am still nervous.
Even after all these years?
Yeah. Yeah. After all these years. And young lawyers who work for me often say to me, because I'll say like, oh, I didn't sleep well last night because, we have the trial today. Or I'll say, like, oh, I'm still a little, I'm a little amped up. And they'll go, how are you? You litigated hundreds of cases. Like, and I always go, like, the day that I am not nervous, I should retire. Because I think you're dangerous at that point.
Nerves means you care still, right? Like, even, I remember just trying to build some analogous sort of an example here. The first time I had to lead a call on my first big deal, and like the partner's just kind of there. I was nervous as all hell. And she told me, I still get nervous because, you're doing it live. You got to react live. You got to be on your toes. You don't know what the other side's going to say.
Yeah. And it means it's the same thing I like why I wear a suit. Like, I'll wear a suit even on days where I don't have court. I won't wear it on a Saturday, but like I'll wear it on days where I don't have court and I'm going to the office. And partly it's because it's like a mindset. It's a uniform. Right. I put it on and it shifts my consciousness a bit. But it's also like a suit. The purpose of a suit is to tell the world that you take something seriously.
Yep.
Like, that's why you wear a suit to a wedding. It's why you wear a suit to a funeral.
Yeah.
Like, I take this seriously.
Right. And
so to me, being nervous is like, oh yeah, I take this seriously.
Yeah.
Because the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference.
Yep.
And like, if I just don't give a shit, like if I go out on a date and I'm not nervous, then I have no stakes in this.
Exactly.
I have no, but if I'm nervous, it means, I want this to go well.
Yeah.
So that means I have some emotional investment in it.
And you hear so much slop on the internet, like, don't be nervous, you be arrogant and you should be confident. But I think that in anything, whether it's date, love, job, investments, if there's a certain level of care, you're going to be kind of nervous.
Yeah.
And then 2 points. My law school professor, who my criminal law school professor said, you pay any amount of money for two types of lawyers: criminal lawyer, so somebody who keeps you out of jail, and a divorce attorney.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the only thing more expensive than a good divorce lawyer is a bad one.
Exactly.
Like, you get
right?
a bad one, we can really do a number on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think trying to stay confident or appear confident in the face of anxiety is hard.
Very hard.
But I think the mistake most people make, you identify correctly, which is they overcorrect to the point of being arrogant.
Yeah.
And now I see when I go against young lawyers, the more like arrogant and cocky they are, the more I'm like, oh, I've got you.
Yeah.
Like I've got you shook, you know? And
Yeah.
it reminds me of the, I don't know if you ever saw the film True Romance. It's a great.
I've heard of it.
All right, so you should watch it sometime. But there's a great scene where Gary Oldman plays a pimp. And long story short, Gary Oldman has one of his girls, you know, as a pimp. The lead character falls in love with her, and he's going to him to tell him, hey, I'm taking this girl with me. She's out of the game now. She's with me now. And he walks in, and Gary Oldman's sitting on a couch, and he's surrounded by his like armed guys, and he's eating Chinese food and watching TV. And the character says, I need to talk to you. And he looks at me and goes, you want some Chinese food? And he's like, no, I don't want any Chinese food. And he's like eating. He goes, look, I came here to tell you, you know, Alabama's with me now. And he stops and he goes, you know, you fucked up, right? He goes, because if you'd sat down and started eating my Chinese food, I would have thought, who's this guy? He doesn't have a care in the world sitting down eating my egg foo young. I would think this is a serious man. Like, he's not afraid at all.
Yeah.
He goes, but you tried to act hard, and now I know you're full of shit. You know?
Yeah.
And I sort of felt like that's how I always feel against lawyers. Like
Right.
the more somebody is like, well, I guess we're going to see you in court, the more I'm like, yeah, that's not scary.
Yeah.
Like, what's scary is if I go, well, I disagree on that. And you go, yeah, I guess the judge is going to have to earn their money. Anyway, what'd you guys do for the holidays? You good?
Exactly.
And then I go, oh, shit, this guy's not scared at all.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to litigate this case.
Yeah. He's going to actually go for it.
So
Look,
that's it.
Divorce is such an exhausting, like it's traumatic. It's a traumatic experience, right?
Even at best, it's traumatic.
Right.
Even like a friendly divorce is traumatic.
Traumatic. It's emotionally exhausting. Why do you continue to stay in that field, and what do you love about it?
Well, it's not that for me, because
Right.
it's not my family.
Right.
You know, I'm not having my divorce over and over again. What I'm having is I'm helping someone navigate a very emotionally charged experience. I mean, at the risk of sounding, I have a friend, because whenever somebody says like, oh man, how do you do that job? It must be so, I'm like, listen, I have a friend who's a pediatric oncologist. Like all day, he just deals with kids with cancer.
Yeah.
How do you do, and I said to him once, how do you not every day just cry all day?
Yeah.
And he's like, because I'm here to solve a problem. Like, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make their life better by crying. He's like, they want me to be clinical and precise and to see things clearly. Like, they're emotional. I'm not going to be emotional.
Right.
So the question you're really asking, I think, is the same question I asked him, which is, how are you around people in this heightened state all the time and not have it on you?
Yeah.
And the truth is, like, it's just about the doing, you know? Like, I look at they're so emotionally charged. And I say to all of my clients, and the first time I meet them, I say to them, look, I am not going to be emotional about your case because you don't want me to be.
No.
Like, you want me to be clinical, precise, dispassionate. You don't want me to fit you with a halo and the other side with horns because I won't see you clearly.
Yeah.
Like, and the good news is, I don't have to like you to really do a good job representing you. I don't even have to believe in you. I don't even have to believe you,
Right.
you know? And I don't have to hate the other side at all. Like, I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 20 years. Like, my best friends have tried to choke the shit out of me. So it's cool. Like, I don't have to hate you to try to beat you up if that's the game we're playing.
Right.
So for me, it does not weather me emotionally. The part that weathers me emotionally is the sense that there's so much that needs to be done and only so many hours in the day.
Right.
And I love what I do so much. It's a great blessing to love your job. And the fact that I don't want to be one of those people that spends 5 days a week looking forward to 2.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
50 weeks of the year looking forward to 2.
I've always
That's my
said
greatest
that.
fear. Yeah. I don't want to be that person. But
Get the Sunday
the problem
scary.
becomes I like my work so much that work has absolutely become my favorite narcotic. So anytime there's anything else going on in my life that I probably need to slow down and look at,
Mhm.
I go, well, I got a lot of work to do. I'm going to go to work.
Right.
And then I go into work and I'm so good at what I do. And I'm so accomplished at it and I get so much from it and it's so engaging intellectually that there are times where I really go, it would be good for you to not go to work and to just feel, because what a therapist of mine said to me years ago, that the only real question that matters in therapy is what is it you don't want to feel? And addiction is anything you do to get away from what you would have been feeling if you'd done nothing at all.
Right.
So for me, work is a thing that I can get away from whatever I'm feeling and really dial into.
Yep.
And I think that for some people, myself included, that can be a dangerous thing because you can use that as a way to never look at or think about things that you probably need to as a human being.
Yeah, and especially as lawyers, you can dig yourself into 24-hour days,
100%.
5 days, 7, 8 days of the week.
I told my son when he was in law school, I was like, law school is a pie eating contest where the prize is more pie.
Eat more pie, more and
you're
more,
just gonna
more
work
work
forever. And being a lawyer, in my experience, is just saying, when this trial is over, I'm going to take a break over and over again until you die.
Yeah, that's it.
There's no real stopping, because when the trial stops, you're like, well, let me catch up on the other stuff that I was neglecting because I was focused on the trial. And then by the time you finish catching up on that stuff, the next trial starts.
The next trial, so that's it. Did your family upbringing or your family structure influence your views on marriage or interpersonal relationships?
Yeah. I mean, in good ways and bad ways.
Yeah.
So in a good way, my father was a very hardworking, straight commission salesman. He had a severe issue with alcohol. He's been sober now for 10 years, but he, at the time, had a real issue with alcohol. And my mother was a stay-at-home mother. And what I will say is they did a phenomenal job, both of them, of demonstrating that people could do different things in the ecosystem of a family and have equal value. So like my father worked very hard outside the home, and my mother was always reminding us of how fortunate we were that my dad worked so hard and that he made sure we had the things we needed as a family. Even though we were not, we always struggled financially, it was always a feeling of like, hey, we've got a roof over our heads, you know?
Yeah.
And we have food on the table. It may not be the most posh food, and you can't afford to buy things at the toy store. We get things at the library because they're free, but you can't buy things at the toy store. And I just remember feeling like, okay, my mom was constantly cheering for my father and saying to us, your dad's such a hard worker. We should all be so proud of him. My father never said my mother didn't work. My father was always like, did you thank your mom for making this beautiful dinner for us? Did you thank your mom for da-da-da? And it was always, yeah, your mom works just as hard as I do, but her job is running this family in this house, and my job is to go out and make money. And I remember like that was a great gift they gave me, because when I started to see how people belittle each other's roles I had never experienced that. I had never seen that in my household. My father was always talking about how hard my mother worked, and my mother was always talking about how hard my father worked. Neither of them were ever trying to talk about how hard they worked. They were always complimenting the other. Right. And that was a real benefit to me. And I think it taught me a lot about what you don't want in a relationship. Is you don't want someone who's so focused on themselves and what they're bringing to the table, rather than saying, hey, I'm part of this structure and I want to be grateful to the people on my team. Yeah. And that taught me a lot about running a team. It taught me a lot about being part of a family and the ecosystem of a home or a business or anything else. The downside of my upbringing was having an alcoholic father. I think it gave me, again, to my benefit, tremendous control issues, like tremendous, because when you're a kid and you have an alcoholic parent, everything feels out of control all the time and terrifying, because you don't know what parent you're coming home to. Are you coming home to a like severely intoxicated parent who's like in the garage throwing things? Or are you coming home to like the like gregarious happy drunk who's like, yeah, I love you so much? Or like the person who's sober and angry. Right. And so I think that it gave me a lot of the classic adult child of alcoholic traits, which have served me really well in my profession. I mean, there are some professions where that which would normally be vice is virtue. Like that which would be, you know, a person being unbelievably like risk tolerant. Right. In a lot of aspects of life, that's really bad. But like a lot of the hedge fund guys I represent, that's their superpower. And it served them incredibly well. And so I look at the plays they make and I go, Jesus, you staked all of that. But, you know, when it pays off, it pays off. And sometimes these guys will take hits that I go, I would have jumped off a building. And they're like, no, sometimes you're going to take a hit, but sometimes you're going to knock it out of the park.
Because they know the feeling of what it is to knock it out of the park.
But representing them in their divorces, that same lack of risk adversity becomes shocking, because they're just constantly calculating the risk. And especially like quant guys, because they'll sit there and really like put numbers on the risk, and they'll look at it and go, well, if the cost of your services is going to be this and the potential was this, then I think it's probably worth it for me to do. And you kind of go like, oh my God, like you're making decisions about how you're going to handle the custody aspects of your case based on like the same quant theory and hedging that you're using for a portfolio.
It's sick. It's sick. It really is sick.
Yeah.
And do you think, well, one observation, it seems like there was a large amount of respect between your parents.
Yeah.
So you learned that just to have respect for your partners in all of
No, there was never like belittling each other. There was never insulting each other. There was none of that. They didn't have a perfect marriage, but they were married for over 50 years till my mom passed away. And they had a real partnership in that sense.
Yeah. And do you think that love was presented as practical, romanticized, complicated growing up to see this?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
It was practical. It was a partnership. It was like, you know, two people running a business together, and the business was our family. It was romantic. I remember my parents going out on dates occasionally together and being dressed up. I remember the scent of Shalimar perfume and Aramis cologne, and the combination of those two meant my parents were going on a date. And I remember the way she would get a babysitter for us, my mom. And I remember I would be excited they would go out on dates because she would buy a Hungry Man frozen dinner. And I got to eat a Hungry Man because my mom always made like, you know, very practical
delicious
things. But I just remember I would get the fried chicken Hungry Man dinner, and I was like, "Oh, you go wherever you want, guys. Go, get out. I got this dinner with the brownie and I was so excited."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they really liked each other. They really had a long period of time where, you know, I understood that there was something between them.
Right.
That I didn't quite understand as a young person, but eventually I understood to be love. They met when they were, you know, my dad was on Fleet Week. He was in the Naval Academy. My mom was a nurse in Brooklyn, and they met at a bar in Brooklyn on Fleet Week. And
good old classic days.
Yeah, yeah.
Before now you just
drunk.
swiping.
He went up to her and he said, "I think I'm going to marry you." And she was with a bunch of her girlfriends in their nurse outfits, and he was in his uniform. And she said, well, with the uniform, I assume you're in the military. Which country? And he said, whichever one you're from.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And he
one.
invited her to come visit him at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. And she came. But he had invited 3 other women because he didn't think any of them would come. So he wanted to hedge, and he'd invited. And she got there, and 2 of the others had shown up. And she said, I'm leaving unless they leave. And he liked her enough that he was like, he asked the other 2 to leave. And,
all right, nice.
And that was the rest was history. But yeah, they were kids when they got together, and in a way that nobody would really anymore. You know?
And do you think, like, observing that the relationship with your parents and along with all the divorces that you've litigated, has that shaped your empathy or your realism when it comes to like relationships and marriage?
I think both. I think empathy and realism, you know, I think marriage is all of those things we just described. There's a practical, pragmatic, relational aspect to it. There's a romantic aspect to it. There's a sexual aspect to it. There is a co-parenting aspect to it. And I think it definitely has to be all of those things. And I think I relate to love and marriage with a mix of the magic of it and sort of understanding that there's something supernatural about love, but also pragmatism and also, you know, tremendous empathy for the fact that we're human and it's hard. Like it's hard to do the right thing. We feel what we feel. Sometimes we wish we could feel differently, but we feel what we feel.
Right.
I think desire is tricky. I think everybody, like, you know, if they could control their desires, it would be great, but you can't. You know, your desire is your desire.
Yeah. Desire fluctuates too.
It fluctuates. It changes as life goes on. It's rooted in things that are often beyond our control.
Yeah.
You can do all the therapy you want and try to figure it out. But once you figured it out, okay, it's still there, you know? So I think for me, like love is very much like my work, which is a combination of the rational and the deeply emotional and personal. And I think the more that you can reconcile those things and realize that they're not actually competing forces, that they're kind of a polarity that has to learn how to dance with itself and has to be kind of a yin and yang.
Yeah.
I think the more you start to realize that, the better you get at it.
And you have said on other platforms, and actually it fits the legal definition, marriage is a reckless act, right?
Yeah, I think it's I've said it fits negligence, but it definitely fits recklessness.
It definitely fits recklessness.
Yeah, recklessness is a conscious disregard for a substantial and unjustifiable risk of serious harm or death.
That is a definition for those non-lawyers.
Yes.
And despite all of that, are you more compassionate, even despite all of that? Are you compassionate towards marriage, or have you become more skeptical of marriage because of all your
I'm
experiences?
skeptical and compassionate. I think people should get married.
Okay.
If it's important to them.
Right.
I think you have to ask the question, why? Why are we getting married? I don't think that should be a profane question.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you said to me, Jim, I'm getting married and I'm your friend, and I say, oh, that's so great. I don't know that it's automatically so great. I think that it's okay to say, why? Like, what about marriage appeals to you? And if you say, you know what, it's really important to my parents, that's a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
You know, my religion. Okay, good reason. It's really important to her.
Yeah.
Okay, great reason.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot, I want the tax benefits of it. Okay, good reason. Like there's lots of good reasons, but not ever because that's what you do. Because I've been dating this person for a while and that's what you do.
That's the worst excuse.
But that's the main reason
Yeah.
most people get married. I've said it before that, you know, in some ways tradition is the wisdom of people who came before us. And in some ways, tradition is peer pressure exerted by dead people. And I think that marriage is largely peer pressure exerted by dead people. Yep. It was good for great grandma got married and grandpa got married and mom and dad got married. Okay. Did they have the entire sum total of human wisdom in a device in their hands? Did they have the ability to interact with literally thousands of other people a day without leaving their home? Mm-hmm. Did they have every song that's ever been played by anyone accessible to them at the press of a button? So they navigated a completely different universe than the one you're in. And you're saying the tools that work for, are you going to bust out a buggy whip too? Like, because that was a tool that was very important to your great grandparents. That's not so important to your grandparents anymore or your parents. And it has no relevance in your lifetime whatsoever.
Man, if I have told you the amount of people that have been together as boyfriend, girlfriend for 10 plus years, and the moment they get married, they're divorced within 5. Yeah. And I'm just like, what happened?
Sometimes it's a Hail Mary pass. It's like, look, this will excite us again. This will, you know.
It's like having the kid to save the relationship.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I think, or having another kid to save the relationship.
Yeah.
We jokingly call the second child the Ocho because when
you need to explain that.
When you have, because there's a lot of people that they have a kid.
Okay.
And the relationship has this honeymoon period because suddenly you're like very caught up in this thing. You have it to focus on. A baby brings a lot of joy to a house. And then that wears off and they're like, all right, let's have another kid. Mm-hmm. And they have another kid and it does not save the marriage. What it does is in New York, one child is 17% of your gross income for child support.
Yes.
2 children's 25%. So it's 8% more. So I call that second kid the Ocho. Because you thought it was going to save the marriage, but all it did was got you 8% more child support.
Now, you mentioned that your son married, right? When he told you, did you ask him like why? Or did you
No, I mean, I'm very close with both my sons. And so we talk a lot anyway.
Yeah, right.
And so we talk a lot about relationship and we talk a lot about what's going on in their lives.
Right.
I'm very fortunate, you know, they both live in the city and I get to spend a lot of time with them. So I'd watched it evolve and I knew that this was something that was probably coming. And I think it was a great choice. My daughter-in-law is a wonderful woman, brilliant lawyer, just a good person, great fit for him. And I'd watched that relationship evolve over time.
Right.
And I always encouraged my sons have very different political views than me. My sons have very different ways of relating to the world than me. I'm grateful for that. I mean, I want them to be their own men. You know, I see bits of myself in them and I see bits of their mom in them. And then I see bits of neither of us in them. That is, I think, the own unique magic of who they are. I never wanted them to be anything specific other than happy and successful by whatever metric you gauge success. And so, I didn't feel I needed to ask the question because it seemed quite obvious to me. It seemed like it was something that was mildly important to him, more important to his fiance. She was from the South. She's from a more traditional family.
Mhm.
But also neither of them were that gassed up on it. You know, he works for the state, so he has great health insurance. He was
Right.
a assistant district attorney
Right.
in the Bronx. So it was like, oh, she'll have great health insurance. Like there
Right.
were some really pragmatic
Right.
reasons that I thought were actually like really good reasons. Like
Right.
having really good health insurance is a really good reason to get married. You know, if you are already living with this person, like they were already cohabitating, they seemed to like each other more as each day passed. My only advice to him was what my advice to anyone is getting married, which is realize that this is, you know, this is loaned. This is not permanently gifted. Like if you got to water the plant if you want it to live. Like
Yep.
don't go, okay, now I'm married, I don't have to think about that. Like if anything, make that a huge priority. Like
Yeah.
make tending to this person a huge priority, because being in a good marriage can add certain value to your life, but being in a bad marriage creates a level of drag that I think is insurmountable.
Just being in a bad relationship.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
you know, something that me and my friends talk about, you know, I'm single now and I've been in relationships in my life,
Yeah.
but being in a bad relationship
Yes.
drags everything
Yeah,
else that you have.
everything
Everything
else
else is going well, but everything just looks dim now
Yeah.
because of this relationship that you
Yeah.
have with this person.
Yeah, and that's really hard to
Makes you angry.
when you're in it, to say it out loud is hard,
Yeah, it makes you.
because it doesn't start out that way.
Yeah.
And I think slippage, you know, like no single raindrop's responsible for the flood. Like you just, it's like when you gain weight, you know, not in a good way. Like you
Right.
turn around and you're like, why is this snug? And it wasn't like one bad decision. It was a lot of little decisions. And so it really is one of those things that people just don't see it
Yeah.
until and then they're like, how the hell did we get here? And the idea of like having to throw out what this was that was good and what still might be good of it because it's just not functioning the right way anymore. It's
Right.
hard. It requires a tremendous amount of courage and faith in yourself and your potential future that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, and then thinking back to like all the how did we get to this moments in my own personal relationships, now that I have 2020 as being hindsight,
Yeah.
it's just sort of you realize it was just a culmination of a couple of years just leading to
Yeah.
that point, which is
Yeah.
terrible, right?
Yeah.
Like, which is bad. But
But
like,
the lesson to be learned from that is, and that's really where my books came into play, is the idea of like, what can we learn from watching things fall apart about keeping them together?
Yeah.
Because I think I had this like reverse engineered wisdom, because I've watched so many people have horrible relationships that fell apart. And you kind of go, all right, look, it's hard to define intelligence, but you can spot stupid a mile away. Like, it's hard to define a good relationship, but like, you know, it's not a bad one.
right.
And so a bad one really stands out. So I feel like if we watch in our own past relationships, where did I get this wrong? Like, what did I get wrong? What did I allow
Yeah.
in this relationship that I should have, like, we all have moments in a bad relationship where we go, I should have drawn a line there.
Yep.
I should have drawn a line. I should have, when it was spoken to the first time that way, I should have said, hey, wait a minute. Is this how we're going to speak to each other now?
Yeah.
You know, or when I felt that my gut uncomfortable about a particular, I should have said something out loud, you know, or when I felt like restless, like my needs weren't being met in the relationship. And I was thinking about like, maybe I will just go cheat, or maybe I'll suddenly the attention from that girl felt good. I should have just said to her like, hey, I just got this DM from a girl, and 6 months ago, I never would have responded, but there was a part of me that thought about responding. I'm only telling you that because I don't want to respond. I want to feel so connected to you that that's not even a vague interest in my mind. But I have to tell you, right now, that's how I'm feeling.
That's hard.
So hard.
It's hard to tell
So
somebody
hard.
that. It's hard to tell somebody that, like,
Yeah.
I don't feel the same about you. And it has nothing to do with your physical appearance. It all has to do up here and in here.
But I want to.
Yeah.
I want to feel that way.
Oh, I want-
See, like, I feel like by the time you're there. And
Yeah.
it's like, listen, I don't feel the way I need to feel
Yeah.
about you, and I can't get back there. But like, I feel like there's a point where if you'd caught it and said, hey, I'm starting to feel this way. Can we figure this out? Like,
Yeah.
and if the person could hear it as, oh, well, this is important to him.
Yeah.
Like, this relationship's important to him. Like, that to me, if you could hear it that way, because I have to say something, it would be hard to hear. Like, if a woman said to me, who I was in a relationship with, said to me, listen, like, I get a lot of attention from men, and I usually, 6 months ago, I would have blown it off completely. But I actually felt a little hungry for that attention. It would be hard not to get defensive.
Yeah.
But the best thing you could do is to go, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm really glad that you said that to me instead of taking the step.
Yeah.
2, what can I do? Like, because if I've gotten it wrong, like you're still as attractive to me as you ever were. And if I've gotten it wrong and I've stopped telling you that, then that's on me and I'll do better. Like,
Right.
you know, like, because listen, sometimes we just slip up. It's a blind spot. Like,
Yeah.
it's totally okay. It doesn't make you a cuck to acknowledge that, hey, I don't always get it perfect in relationship. So I think you have to look at it like there's a bravery in that. But it's hard to do when you're in it, man.
Yeah, it really is. So after all the thousands of cases that you've had, what have you learned from love?
I mean, I've learned a lot. I wrote a whole book, but I mean, what I'll say is the core thing I learned, I guess, is
Should have said the core thing.
the core thing is we all want it so bad. I think it's the prime motivator.
Yeah.
Like you can say all you want that it's about like getting the best cars or getting the best watches it's not. All those things are just indicators of success so that you can attract connection to whatever your ideal romantic partner looks like. I think it's the most important thing to all of us, but we're bad at it. Like we're bad at it. And I think that you don't do yourself any favors by thinking you're naturally good at something that you're bad at.
Yeah. I've learned in my very inexperience, just my very limited experience with love, I think I've learned that it is an addicting feeling. And despite the heartbreak, you still want to go back and get it for more. And I think it's actually important, like when we spoke about off screen, that you can't change who you are, right? This is who I am. This is the package that I come in. I want to be loved by the person who loves that about me.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I
in
think
a real way.
In a real way. And I think
like warts and all, like all the worst parts of me, all the best parts of me.
You have to love me, especially in the worst parts. Right.
But the corollary to that is if you want that kind of love, you also have to be able to give that kind of love.
That's true.
And that's hard. Like it's easy to be loved for who you are. Like to let love in is scary sometimes, but like it's when you find someone who genuinely loves you for who you are, good and bad, and you know, like it's easy to. It's like saying like, oh man, is it easy to lay on the beach in the warm sun? Yeah, it's really easy. It's great.
Yeah.
But loving someone like else that way can be hard, you know. But I think you have to be willing to give it if you want to receive it, and I just think you have to always take it seriously. I think the minute. You know, the most powerful thing, if you want to talk about like life-changing moments and experiences, I think the most useful experience I've had in my entire life was not in a courtroom and it wasn't in a classroom. I worked as a hospice volunteer for many years. And I will tell you, that was to me the most powerful experience of my life. It shaped everything else that has come after. Because if you spend time with people who are actively dying, you just realize how we're just so lucky. Like you're just so lucky. I would go to these people's homes and there's someone there in a hospital bed in their home and they have a couple of weeks to live and they've got esophageal cancer or they've got something that just came out of the blue. And everyone around them knows like we're about to lose this person.
Right.
And their priorities have gone from whatever other shit they were thinking about to like, can I swallow enough water today? And you walk out of that room as a volunteer and you go to your car and you just think, I'm the luckiest person in the world. Like, I don't care if I'm going back to the smallest apartment, which I was. I don't care if I have 400 pounds of classwork to do, which I did. I don't care if I got $20 in the bank and I got 2 weeks that's got to last me, which it did. I'm alive. Like I'm alive. I don't have fucking esophageal cancer. Like someone I love isn't in that bed.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, like it just taught me that like, you know, look, if something means something to you, whether it's your life, your love, a person, whatever, like just remember, like it's not yours forever. Like you just have it for now. And take it seriously and pay attention to it, you know, and give yourself deeply to it because nothing is permanent. 100 years from now, every single person you love and every single person who loves you will be gone.
Yeah.
And if you can enter the day-to-day with that mindset, I actually think you're more primed to be a really good partner and to receive love more fully.
Yep.
And I think that divorce and hospice were actually a very natural, because they're both about things ending.
Right. And Do you think that your profession has changed your perspective on commitment at all? And watching divorce, I'm sure you've heard all the salacious details.
I don't take people's words as seriously anymore.
Okay.
Like people say things like always, and I'm always like, nah, I'm fuzzy on that. You know,
Anybody
like,
who, what they say, anybody who speaks in absolute is an absolute liar,
Yeah.
right? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a line I always talk about from a Joseph Brodsky poem where he says, "I wish I knew no astronomy when stars appear." Like, I think there is a certain romance you feel when you've never had your heart broken. I think that, like, I remember my first love, the girl on the debate team. I remember just like, yep, forever. We're going to be together forever. I love her more than I've ever loved. And then, like, you go, oh, wait, like a person can like take their love away. Like they can go off to college and like you're not in college and they'll, like, oh my God,
Right.
and that first cut is deep because it makes you realize like, oh no, like forever might not be in the cards. And by the way, what a blessing that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, thank God didn't answer those prayers. Because I did a lot of like, please let her love me forever. I want to be the one. And now I'm like, oh my God, thank God I didn't marry that girl. But the truth is that, like unanswered prayers are something to be grateful for, because there's a lot of shit I prayed for that if I'd got it, like my life would be completely different,
Me and my best friend Alex, shout out to Alex, we always talk about this. You know how many times we could have got caught up with the wrong person? Where at the time when it was ending, we wish we would have been, please, I want this to work so
more than
bad.
anything.
And then we're looking like, wow, we dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
We
But
were
I think you're also aware of I think you said it really well earlier, that like the intoxication of early relationship, like that,
best thing.
it's just the greatest high in the world. Like just that feeling of like, when you meet a woman and she just like, whatever, there's just the scent of her, just it's just the greatest feeling in the world, but you do have to have the presence of mind, not to sound like red pill about it, but like, someone somewhere is tired of that. like someone somewhere is like, you can keep her, It's true of men too.
It's true.
Like, you go out, you watch these groups of women and they're out together and they, half of them hate their husbands. And then one of them's divorced or single. And she's like, oh, I met this guy. And they're like, oh my God, tell me all about him. And they're like, oh, he did this. They're like, oh my God, he sounds so great. And I'm like, you do know, this is just your husband who you hate 5 years ago. Like, that's all this is. Like, we're just time shifting right now.
That's all it is.
Like, and if she came in 5 years from now and went, oh my God, my husband's the best, you'd be like, shut the fuck up. Because all of you hate your husbands. Like, so what do you do? Like all these guys that are like I remember seeing recently a picture of a bunch of like women in their late 30s, early 40s, like very kind of mom types, all like out on like a girls' night. And I just remember looking at it and thinking like, I would love to see a photo of all of these women when they were like 20 something and like landed the guys who they're with right now. Because like, talk about like the previews to the movie, and men too.
Yeah.
I mean, I see so many guys that I'm like, oh my God, like what they're selling in the sales portion of this. And then once they're the husband, it's like what they're actually, it's like, come on guys. Like this is, we sell a bill of goods and then very often do not take it seriously. So.
And speaking about, so, people hate their husbands, people hate their wives or whatever. But what do you think people misunderstand the most about going into marriage?
I think it's two opposite things. I think that people think that their spouse will change.
No, you can't change anybody, man.
They think like, oh, he drinks a lot now, but like once we're married, he won't. Or he doesn't take our commitment that seriously, but once we're married, he will. So thinking that their spouse is going to change. And the opposite, which is thinking that their spouse isn't going to change. Like that everything's exactly going to stay the same.
Right.
Like she looks like she looks, or he looks like he looks, or she's this sexually permissive, or he's got this kind of libido, and thinking, oh, that'll never change. And the truth is, like, we change constantly.
Yeah.
And you want to be in a relationship where there's room to change, but you definitely don't want it to be, I need this person to change for us to be happy in this relationship. So I think, although it sounds contradictory, the two biggest mistakes people make are thinking their partner will change and thinking their partner won't change.
And if you took away all the pixie dust and fairy tales from marriage, what is marriage to you? Like what?
To me, marriage is a legal status. To me, marriage is a contract that you enter into that's largely governed by rules that are put together by the state legislature. And you're putting a legal label on the pair bond between two people. I don't think marriage and love have very much to do with each other. I think love is love and pair bonds are pair bonds. Pair bonds, I think, are naturally, even in nature, like largely the most popular form of connection. I think that's biological. Like, I don't think that marriage created that. I think that created marriage.
Mhm.
But, you know, I think marriage for me is a legal status. You're putting a legal relationship on top of a human relationship.
Got it.
And to me, the people that are happily married, if the concept of legal marriage did not exist, I think those people would be just as happy and just as much together.
Got it.
And I think the people that are not connected to each other and not well suited for each other, you can put all the legal things on top of it you want. It's not going to make them love each other.
Got it. 2-part question for you.
Go for it.
How much of a factor does money or kids play into people staying together or leaving?
A lot. I mean, I think kids more so than money.
Yeah.
I think that people will stay in relationships that are not good for them because they think that it will improve their children's outcomes and that their children will have a better life for their sacrifice. A lot of being a parent is sacrificing. You know, like you sacrifice the sleep you might like to have so that your baby's needs are tended to. You sacrifice tons of things for your children, and you do it kind of with excitement. I can say that as a parent to adults now. When they were kids, I was very happy to give things to my children, like in a way that you just feel so like it's a gift to give things to your kids.
Okay.
So for me, like that's what love really is that feeling of like it's not a sacrifice to give. It's exciting and feels wonderful and to be able to give. So I would say that's, you know, a big piece. Money, I do think there are people that are so money motivated that they're like, I will stay miserable so I don't have to give up half my stuff.
Plus to the state.
Yeah, plus the state. Yeah.
Plus
And
the
I
state.
think that that's a big piece of it. But you know, that's why I've always said that like when the economy is bad, the divorce rate goes up because people are fighting over money, and scarcity creates conflict.
So
when the
business
economy
is good.
is really good, it's also good. It increases divorces because people are like, fuck it, you can take half and I'll still be fine.
Right.
You know? And like that's the problem with when you represent the ultra wealthy, is they're like, all right, I'll buy her another house in the Hamptons. Like I'll keep this one, she can have that one, or she can have that one and I'll buy another one. Like the more money you have, the more that you're like, yeah, whatever, dude, you can cut it in half and I'll still be fine. So that's a piece of it. But yeah, I think money, right now, like there's a huge tension in the world. There's a lot of tension in the economy. And I think that sometimes puts strain on people, and that is bad for the marriage rate and for the divorce rate.
And I know that you said before that you're going to be precise, emotionless, detached from every person's case, but you are a human being at the end of the day. Does this job ever wear on you emotionally?
I think it wears on me in the way that you do anything at an intense level, you'll get tired. Like I remember saying to my son, who's also an attorney, I was complaining to him that I was like, yeah, I'm really tired right now. And he's like, but you love your job. And I was like, son, I love sex too. But if I did it 14 hours a day for 20 days in a row, I'd want a break. Like, so I think that, but emotionally, there are times where when I'm representing like a victim of intimate partner abuse, domestic violence, when I have to see certain things, like I've had to watch like video of someone abusing their spouse or abusing a child or abusing a pet. I remember having to watch like a Ring video of someone kicking the family dog, and I had to weaponize that against that person. I did quite effectively, but I just remember having to watch that and hear that and thinking like, oh, like it's always hard to confront the reality of the things that people do.
Right.
That to me, like I've been angry at a woman, but I've never laid a hand on a woman.
Yeah.
I think I could count on one hand the number of times I've ever even like yelled at, maybe like twice. Right. And when I say yelled at, just been like, you know what, fuck this kind of, I've never been like, you suck. It's just not in me. My father never behaved that way. Like I just never behaved that way. And so listening to the recordings of a woman screaming at a man or screaming at a child, or a man screaming at a woman and she's sobbing and he's just belittling her, that can't not, I don't ever want to be the kind of person that wouldn't register on my emotional radar. But, you know, I look at it like, okay, I feel it, but I get to be the outcause. Like I
Nice.
get to be part of that person's liberation from that. I get to be part of the solution to that. And that to me is very inspiring.
That's amazing, actually. And you've built such a well-respected legal career, and now you've also, you've always had a powerful media voice,
That was an
right?
accident.
Right?
Yeah, the latter was an accident.
Yeah.
The former, I put everything
Yeah,
into.
exactly.
The latter was a total accident.
And at what point did you realize that your voice actually did matter outside of courtrooms?
Only recently, to be honest. I have to tell you, because like only now that random strangers 5 times a day come up to me and go, "You're the divorce lawyer," like on the way here, some of us, and wherever I am, like if I'm in LA or if I'm in Vegas or if I'm anywhere, people immediately are like, "Hey, you're that divorce lawyer," like, and
America's divorce lawyer.
yeah, it was just the feeling. Yeah, I think that the reality that because when I wrote the book, even like writing is such a solitary activity.
Yeah.
You write it, then you hand it, and then one day it's like in a bookstore, and you're like, "Holy cow, that's crazy!" But you never get to watch anybody reading it and stand over them going, "What do you think?" But people would once in a while write. Or I remember reading the New York Times review of my book, and it was like, "Holy cow, this is so weird." But yeah, no, only in the last like year have I really started to be recognized regularly. And that's really powerful and intoxicating in some ways. I represent a lot of celebrities, so I've always believed and seen through their lives because I represent them and I sometimes represent their spouses against them. So like the unknown person against the celebrity. And fame is the mask that eats into the wearer. Like, I think that, like it will change you if you're not mindful of it.
Yeah.
I even seen it in myself that like the first few times that people would like stop me and be like, "Oh my God, I love you." Like, first of all, that's amazing. Like just having random people come up and tell you you're amazing. Like I've yet to have one person come up to me and be like, "You suck." Like people in the comments might say that, but just don't read the comments. Like, but generally the people that will stop you are saying, "I just want to tell you you're awesome."
Yeah.
Which by the way, you're like, okay, now I know why my celebrity clients, some of them are such pricks because all day long they're just getting positive affirmation out of them.
Yeah, it's true.
But I remember the first time that because there's I live pretty close to my office. So I walk, from my apartment to my office. And I walk past this very touristy spot, the Vessel, because my office is right by the Vessel, which is a lot of people are there to take pictures by it. It's like living near any landmark in New York City. And I remember one time, like usually 3 or 4 people will stop me just in that short walk. And I remember the first time that no one stopped me. And I remember thinking,
I have to do that
should
walk
I, like,
again.
fall off? Like, what's going on? Like, am I not famous today? Like, what happened? And I thought, oh, don't do that, man. Don't start chasing that dragon.
No.
Like, if this is something you have to have happen to you for you to feel good about who you are, like you went 20-something years in a career without ever thinking like, oh, but people need to know who I am. Like people didn't know who I am unless they needed to.
Yeah.
Like people's agents knew who I was. People's accountants knew who I was. Like lawyers knew who I was. But the general populace, nobody knew who the hell I was.
Right.
Like they would see me sometimes coming out of a courthouse and I was standing behind somebody they knew. But I didn't get in front of the camera. My policy has always been no comment to the press on cases. Like, so there's a bunch of cases where they say James Sexton is the attorney. He had no comment. But I generally prefer not to try cases in the press. So I think, getting used to that is a different thing for me, but it's not something I ever want to get used to.
Yeah. It only happened to me one time where someone was like, "I love your podcast." And this happened in Dubai. And I was like, wow, that's a great feeling that even though it's a relatively small platform, but somebody actually was like, "I watch your podcast. I love you. And I love when you said," and that person was able to say in this episode, when you said this, I was like, oh,
it's weird when someone quotes you.
Yeah. I'm like, oh,
I have people say to me all the time, they're like, "Oh, something you said that I loved," and they'll say something and I'll listen. I'm like, I mean, I don't remember saying that, but
it sounds like me.
Got a good point. Like I'll occasionally, I don't usually watch my show, but every once in a while I'll like put it on, and I'll hear something and I'll go, "He's got a good point." And I'm like, wait, that's you. Like, yes, you just complimented your own point of view. Like, of course you agree with you, but a lot of what I'm doing is just kind of off the dome. I don't remember what I said exactly. And so when I hear it back, sometimes I go like, "Oh yeah, I did have that. There's a good point," So yeah, I think it's a very cool thing to experience. I think the craving for it, it's like, look, I've been poor and I've had money. It's way better having money. But if you let money be your master, money is a great servant and a terrible master. And I represent some of the wealthiest people in the world. And I will tell you, like a lot, they're still struggling with the same issues that many of us have. Like the
Exactly.
same personal issues. It's difficult for them to maintain love and connection. Parenting is hard. All of those things are hard. If it was easy, they wouldn't be in my office. So I genuinely think that's like a great equalizer is realizing that, hey, look, that person is just a person. Like even if you see them on the TV screen, they're just a person. And I had to learn that when representing celebrities because, you know, I only started representing the ultra wealthy or famous athletes or really like that 10 or so years ago because you had to earn the right at the table to do that type of work. And now, like, I realize, like, yeah, they really just are people. They're just flawed people.
They go through, they bleed just like you and me, right?
They bleed like you and me. They use the bathroom like you and me. They're insecure like you and me. Some of them are even more insecure because they're in the public spotlight so much.
Yeah.
And everything they do is scrutinized.
Yeah.
And I've always said, like, if in the pecking order of like rich and famous, rich but not famous, famous but not rich, way better to be rich and not famous.
I don't want to be known.
Rich and not famous is a great place to be.
I'd rather not be known.
Yeah.
I'd rather not be known.
Yeah.
So I have a lightning round for you here, right?
I'm known for my brevity.
Right. So this is just, it's going to be separated into two parts. Quick takes and yes or no questions. We're going to do the quick takes. The quick takes are just quick takes.
Love it.
So finish this sentence. Marriage is?
Serious.
Okay. Biggest unspoken truth about relationships?
They require work, but not as much work as you'd think.
Okay. Does timing matter more than love when it comes to marriage?
No.
Okay.
I think love matters most.
What keeps more marriages together, love or fear?
In practice, fear, but it should be love.
One word to describe modern dating culture.
Toxic.
Harder, staying married or getting divorced?
Staying married.
Have you ever truly been shocked a couple worked out?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get into that one afterwards. Yes. Do more people marry the right person at the wrong time or the wrong person at the right time?
The wrong person at the right time.
Okay. Happiness or longevity? What do people actually choose?
I think people choose longevity. I actually don't think people choose either. I think that people want to choose both and end up choosing neither.
Okay. Now here's the yes or no question of the segments.
This is like cross-examination.
Exactly.
Isn't it a fact?
Exactly. Do soulmates exist?
No.
Okay. Can love survive without trust?
Yes.
Can trust survive betrayal?
Yes.
Is marriage more about commitment than compatibility?
No.
Okay. Can two people grow at different speeds and still make it?
Yes.
Okay. That was it. All
right.
Yeah. So
those are good.
About the couple.
Yeah, I was gonna say which of those intrigues you the most?
The one that intrigues me the most is I want to hear about the couple. So what was the one where you were like, wow, I can't believe they actually made it? Like,
well, there's people that I can't believe they waited this long to get divorced.
Right.
But then there are people that like they start the process of divorce and then they reconcile.
Right.
And then I hear back 10 years later and they're like, great, they're fine. And it's rare, but I'm always intrigued by the question, can you take the same ingredients and make a different dish? And the truth is a good chef can.
Yeah.
Like if you gave me some chicken breasts, some breadcrumbs, some tomato sauce, I could make you a chicken parmesan that's okay. But if you gave that to Jose Andre or you gave that to Thomas Keller, they're going to take those same ingredients and make something 1,000 times better than what I make. And if you gave them, by the way, to like my younger son, he would just burn the crap out of it. He wouldn't know what to do with them, right? So like if you can't teach a dog how to drive, it doesn't mean you're a bad teacher.
Right.
It doesn't mean the dog is dumb. It just means you set out for an impossible task.
Right.
So I think it's the same thing. Like I think, I think that we want to be good at love. And like, I think sometimes we lose the plot. And I've rarely seen it happen, but every once in a while, somebody is like, wait a minute, we screwed up with the cooking, but we got good ingredients. And they figure it out.
Yeah.
And they figure out how to make a different dish with the same ingredients. And I am in awe when I see it, because I think it requires a tremendous amount of humility and a tremendous amount of candor and honesty about yourself and about each other. And it's a brave thing.
Right.
Like it is harder to hold the door open than to slam it shut.
Yep.
And so I respect it when people can do it.
Yeah. And then the second one is like the two people who grow at different speeds and still be able to make it.
Yeah.
I think that I've learned that not everybody's going to be in the same place that you are in your
Right,
life, but
right.
similar to what your parents had, there was a great deal of respect between those two people.
Respect is incredibly
Right.
important, particularly to men, but I think for women too.
Yeah, and I think when it's lost, especially for the guy,
Yeah, it's really hard.
it's hard for the
it's
guy
really
to come
hard.
back from this. Like if you don't
Yeah.
respect what I do, how hard I'm working, then it's hard for me to respect you and the things that you're doing. And then there's this like tit for tat battle, and then now all of a sudden we don't respect each other.
But it's hard enough, you know, I try to give everybody some grace, including myself, because the older I get, the more I realize like how hard it is to be authentically yourself and how hard it is to navigate yourself. Like we're kind of still a mystery to ourselves.
Yeah.
There's so much about ourselves that we're like, man, I wish I did this differently, or gosh, why can't I stick with this? Or why can't I keep my eye on the ball when it comes to this? And why can't I figure the balance out of this? That like, if it's that hard to navigate yourself, like, how could you think it'll be easier to navigate another person
Right.
who, by the way, like you, is having a hard time navigating themselves a lot of the time?
Yep.
So again, I think it can be relationship a superpower because I can't learn everything I need to know about myself from myself. Like I need someone else. I need someone who sees my blind spots. I need
Right.
someone who's cheering for me. I need that.
I need
all
that.
need
We all need that.
But you know, it's hard to navigate yourself. So to navigate someone else also, that's challenging. And I think it takes a lot of, but I think growth happens at different paces.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be willing. It's like having a plant. Like you put it in one spot, you water it a certain way, but like during the winter, it might need different light or different water. Yeah. And by the way, that might not be the right spot for it. And if you wait till it dies, like pay attention to the plant and move it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to move it and say, okay, let's put it. Don't go, oh, well, it's dying, so the plant is broken. No, it's not. It's just not, it's not getting the right light or the right water. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you care enough about it, you will.
Yeah.
But if you're just the kind of person that again, we are a product of our times. Like there was a time you bought a car and that was your car, man.
Yeah.
You drove that car till the engine block cracked.
Warren Buffett.
Right. Like you would but you'd bring it for oil changes. You do
Yeah.
preventative maintenance. You keep it tight. Now people are like, dude, it's a lease. I got it for 3 years. Who cares? Don't worry about it. I'm not going to do anything. I mean, let it, because in 3 years, I'm getting rid of it.
It's very temporary.
Relationships, the same kind of thing. Like you don't take care of your phone, you know, you're going to get a new one, you know?
Yeah. That was all great points, honestly. And you've done so much incredible work just in and outside the courtroom that I have to ask. These are the last few questions that we have before we wrap up. So when you think about your legacy, what do you want people to remember most about your work?
You know, I don't think a lot about legacy because I really feel like, I'm dead at that point. So it's,
I
mean, and I don't think any of us are really going to make that big of a difference in anything. I mean, I think, I guess what I'd want to be remembered, I don't know that I need to be remembered. I mean, I'd like to think that
the internet lives forever, James.
You know, like God help us. I guess if there was something professionally that I'd want to be remembered for, I'd like to be remembered as being very good at my job. I'd like to be remembered as an early prenup evangelist, that I was one of the first people to say, hey, every marriage has a prenup. It's either one written by the state or by the two people that love each other more than the other 8 billion other options. Like if that's on my tombstone, I'll be cool with that. But I don't really concern myself with that. It's really in the doing. I just try to get up every day and do the best job I can at a job I love. When I don't love it as much or when I can't do it as well is when I'll drop the mic.
Nice.
But until then, I'm just going to keep doing it at a high level and enjoying it. And, you know, I don't worry about legacy. I don't worry about any of it anymore. If I tried to be like, I want to be America's divorce, I don't think I would have got there. Yeah. And if I tried to be famous, I don't think I would have got famous. And it's like if you try to be cool, there's nothing less cool than trying to be cool.
You're just going to be corny.
Yeah, I just did my job. Like I just did my job and do it well. That's it. I'm going to keep doing it at the highest possible level. We are playing a game you cannot win. Like you will not get out of this alive. So my attitude is like, play the game you can't win to the utmost. Just keep, and the same thing with love. Like play it to the utmost. You can't win. Every marriage ends, death or divorce.
I love
that. Like, but you do it, you ride it, you know, because the purpose of dancing isn't to move from one spot on the floor to another. It's to dance.
It's to feel the music.
Yeah, it's just rhythm. To feel the music and be in the moment and move with it and to just have that moment pass. Exactly. You can take all the pictures you want. You can't hold on to that moment. It's there. You feel it. and then it's gone and it's a memory. And I think that is how we should be approaching every single thing in our lives until we are all ghosts.
And if the younger James could see you today, what would he say to you? Aside from nice watch,
He would
man.
call me a sellout. I had very long hair. I believe there was no war but the class war. I would never have thought I'd be wearing a nice watch. No, younger James, look, if you haven't joined the revolution by the time you're 20, you have no heart. And if you haven't sold out by the time you're 30, you have no brain. So I was very like, I believed in all of it. And so he would look at me and he would be like, you sellout. Like, because he would have been, at the Rage Against the Machine show in the front row. But if I could talk to that James, I would probably tell him like,
it's nice being rich, man.
Don't be so scared.
It's nice
You're gonna be okay. Like it's gonna all work out. You'll find your path. You'll stumble your way into your path, and it's all in the doing. Just keep trying. Just keep pushing.
Nice. And our most seminal question of this podcast is, what was your last flight out moment? And what that basically means is, had you not taken that risk in that particular time, you would not be here right now in front of me having this conversation.
Yeah, I think it has to be going out on my own. I think being crazy enough and having the hubris of youth, of just going, yeah, I'm not going to be a cog in a machine. I'm going to eat what I kill. Like I don't care. Like I don't want a comfortable salary. I want to be a lawyer, and I want to be a good lawyer. And if I just have to take assigned cases, and that's all I'll ever be is someone who takes assigned cases, then that's what I'll be. But just having the balls to go, yeah, I'm just going to do it. I'd rather fail on my own than succeed as a cog in a machine. I wanted to do my own thing. Like I've been a lone wolf for 27 years now, and I wouldn't trade it. I couldn't work for somebody. I love being my boss. I love eating what I kill. I love just that mindset.
Yeah, my dad tells me that. My dad's an entrepreneur as well, and he told me that during the recession, because he's in real estate, and he thought about the thought of having to go back to corporate and having to work for somebody else. He's like, I have to make this work any means necessary. I'm never going back.
Yeah, no, I'd drive a truck for it. Like, I'd forget it. Like I'd be a hot tar roofer. Like I would do any number of other things before I'd be a cog in the machinery of it. But I think that all stems from that moment of realizing like, yeah, these people are never going to look out for me the way I look out for myself. I'm going to have to defend why I parked under the thing and didn't get I'm going to have to either park in the snow or take shit from someone who I'm making them money. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't know if I'll fail, but I'd rather succeed at being autonomous, than succeed at being a cog in this machinery for these people.
Well, James, thank you for your time today. Why you don't tell the audience where they can find you, anything that you want to tell the audience about things that you have coming out?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me all over the place. So you can find me in New York City anytime, but you can find me at sextonshow.com. That's my show, Better Call Sexton, and Cross-Examination. And we put out a lot of, I hope, entertaining media commentary. It's growing in popularity. The channel's growing in popularity, sextonshow.com. You can find me on Instagram at NYC Divorce Lawyer. You can find me on Twitter at NYC Divorce Law, though I don't really like Twitter. I think it's kind of the cesspool of the universe. I don't have much to do with it. Trusted Prenup is my business, one of my side businesses, trustedprenup.com, where we basically use AI to make we've democratized prenups essentially. So that's a great opportunity for anybody who's thinking about getting married. You can go on there. You can also gift a prenup to someone if you care enough about them to make sure that they are protecting themselves and making the rules for their own relationship. And that's basically, and Trusted Petnup. That is the philanthropy arm of Trusted Prenup, and that is anybody who adopts or rescues any animal from a shelter for free. You can go to Trusted Petnup, and you can have a cohabitation agreement or a pet agreement with your loved one that makes sure that in the event that the two of you split up or move out from each other or get divorced, that your companion animals, that their rights are clear and their obligations are clear, and we don't have to fight over the pets. And that's Trusted Petnup.
I definitely have a few friends that probably need the Trusted Petnup.
Good.
So
good. Well, it's free. And if you didn't adopt your animal, if you bought them from a breeder or anything like that, it's a pay as you wish. So you can pay as much as you want, and 100% of the money that comes into that company goes to animal charities. We don't make a penny on that business.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much
Great
again.
to see you,
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Guys, like this video, subscribe, comment. You can follow us at Last File Podcast across all of our socials. You can follow me, Jay, at JLubriel26 across all of my social media channels. You can follow Mike here in spirit somewhere out in the world at If Mike Is Here. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next week, same time, same place. Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement. Last
What's
one
going
out.
on, man?
Flat out.